This is one of a series of videos to explain the setup and operation of the WW9JD Arduino µMatic² memory keyer. I am Rick Dubbs, WW9JD. In this video, we're going to explore the setup icon. When you tap on the setup icon from the main screen, you're taken to a page that displays the Nextion display settings. Also has an icon for the keyer settings. We'll explore this icon later. To begin with, the backlight. If you tap the thumb, you can set the backlight level to whatever you need. Backlight is one of the biggest power hogs on the keyer, so if you are operating on a battery, you might want to set that down. The backlight setting will remain throughout the entire time you have the keyer on, but when you power down the keyer, it will go back to whatever its last setting was. To retain the setting you've just made, tap the Save key. The enhanced Nextion display used in this project includes a real-time clock. Real-time clock gets its power from that battery holder in the back of the display. To change the time of the real-time clock, you use the hours plus and minus and minutes plus and minus buttons on this page. The hours and plus and minus do what you would expect, increase and decrease the hours. The minutes plus and minus, in addition to increasing and decreasing the minutes, when you tap the button, also resets seconds to 0. So careful use of the minutes plus and minus can also sync the second to an accurate second. While careful use of the minutes plus and minus buttons can allow you to set the real-time clock to the nearest second, the on-time reviews of the accuracy of the real-time clock have not been complimentary. The sleep buttons control only the backlight of the display, have nothing to do with the Arduino Mega 2560. So if you're operating portable on batteries and need to maximize battery life, you could say, for example, set a sleep of 30 seconds and then go back home, and after the display blanks, the Arduino is still active so that you can still use the keyer even though you can't see anything on the display. To turn the display back on, then tap someplace on the screen. That brings the display back up. It will cycle off after another 30 seconds, without any taps on the screen. To stop it from cycling off every 30 seconds, you'll have to turn off the keyer and then turn it back on. The sleep setting cannot be saved from power off to power on. The Recalibrate button aligns the touch screen with the underlying display. Tap Recalibrate and then tap carefully in the center of each of the targets presented. Then the display will operate the way you would expect it to. That sends you back to the splash screen. Tap on that and tap on the settings icon, and we're back to where we were. The first button merely takes you to the opening splash screen, the first screen shown. Still, the keyer is active. Another tap sends you on to the home screen, the main screen. The reference key here on settings, there's also a reference key on home, sends you to a page where you can have referenced different pages of short text information. The framework allows for 20 pages. You can use the Nextion IDE to add or modify pages. There is in Nextion a hard limit of 250 components allowed per page and 254 pages per project. So you could have multiple pages of reference if you wanted it, and that can all be controlled from the Nextion IDE. But tap one of these, like the call area, that brings up a call area map in this case. Another tap on it sends you back to that page, and then you can return to the settings page where you were, or back to the home page if that's where you put the reference key from. The final button on this screen is the keyer settings icon. Tap that and that takes you to keyer settings. The keyer mode slider determines what happens when you depress the right paddle or the left paddle. In the iambic mode, if you press the left paddle, it generates a series of dits. If you press the right paddle, it generates a series of DAWs, all according to the speed set on the main screen of the keyer. Reversed, it does it opposite. Dits are on the right, DAWs are on the left. And the bug mode gives you automatically generated dits on the left and manually generated DAWs on the right. The side tone slider gives you pitches from 300 to 900 Hertz. As you move the slider and release, it gives you a tone of that frequency. And when you move away, or as you release, that tone is saved, so that's the tone that the keyer will use from here on out. The volume slider changes the volume from 0 to 10, also letting you hear a sample of the volume as you release the thumb, and will also retain your setting after you release it. The timing constant changes a variable in the speed setting algorithm in the keyer so that you can set your keyer to exactly the speed that you intend for it to be. For example, my keyer is set to 10 words per minute right now. If I come back to the beginning, I have a file on the micro SD card, 10.txt, that is the word Paris 10 times. It should take 1 minute to send. We'll talk about sending later, but to send that file, 10, tap send, and it's going to load. Pause control again. Now it's ready to go. Watch the time so that you know where you're starting, and I'm going to wait for it to get to the 15-second mark. Press pause, continue again, and now we'll see if it takes just 1 minute to send the 10 Parises. Coming up on that 15 seconds after, couple of seconds difference. Maybe I make a change to the timing constant, maybe I don't. It's pretty darn close. Now I've reset the keyer to 20 words per minute with 10 word per minute spacing Farnsworth, and I'll resend the number 10 Paris file to see how close that is. Wait for the 15-second point again. And once again, still pretty close. The push-to-talk delay slider won't be useful to everybody, but if you need some sort of a push-to-talk contact before you make your key contact, then you can set a delay of anywhere from 0 to 50 milliseconds. And if that's not enough, you could always get into the Arduino sketch and make the change that you need to on that. so that your equipment will be ready for when you make key contact. The Reset Contact Number button is used for the Contest Contact Index count. So if we go back to Home and the QWERTY keyboard, we have this key here, pound, and when you include that in a text file, we'll talk about this in another video, then it sends the index. The next time that is sent, it would send the next number in sequence. So you could include that in a contest exchange. If you come back to the reset counter number and reset that, then get the right place. There we go. And now it's reset back to the 0. The reset button itself, when you tap that, sets a flag so that the next time you reset the keyer, then all of the parameters are back to their default condition. So the keyer is set to 20 words a minute. The call sign is KK9ABC, and it's asking you to put your call in the keyer as it were factory fresh.